Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. Today I've prepared a recipe tutorial. We'll be making this beignet tower and baking in the Gozney Dome oven, so I'm excited to share the results of this one. In a saucepan, I'm adding my water and my milk. You can just use all water or all milk, totally up to you. Recipe will be listed in the description box below. I have my caster sugar and butter, combining everything together in a saucepan and using a whisk to just kind of melt it all over medium heat. You'll then want to add in your flour once it comes to a boil. Take it off the heat, stir it through, and then back onto the heat she goes, continuing to stir and kneading the dough until a film is visible on the base of your saucepan. This was non-stick, so I kind of had to guess when that was, but about 5 or so minutes in. Pop it into your standing mix with the paddle attachment and let it run for a couple of minutes until the heat is more or less dissipated. That way when you add in your eggs one at a time, it doesn't cook them. So you want this to be just warm. Once you've added in your eggs, it should look a little something like this. This is still a little bit too stiff. I did go ahead and add in one more egg until I got a batter that resembled thick lava falling off the paddle attachment. And this is the sort of texture that you're looking for the beignet. It kind of comes sliding off in clumps. I fitted a piping bag with a large round piping tip and creating little 4 centimeter dollops, about 1.5 centimeters away from each other because they will expand. At the end of the pipe, give it a little circular motion like that, just so that you don't get a kind of stiff peak dimple at the top. If you do though, just wet your hand with a little bit of water and smooth out the top. Here I've got my Gozney oven. Thank you Gozney for sending us this awesome oven to try out for our tutorials. So this one here is sponsored and the results actually really surprised me. I'm not being paid to say anything. This is purely my own opinions. Into the preheated oven, I'm adding in my beignet. Now, I wasn't too sure what temperature to cook these at, so I tried 3 different temperatures and I'll share all 3 results with you. This was at 400 degrees Celsius and they puffed up 4 times their size. I was so excited when I opened up that oven. But it's not the typical beignet, so I did have to lower the temperature. I'll show you guys the inside anyway. So they were super duper dry on the inside, which is good if you're filling them with cream to rehydrate them. Cream is a great base. This was at 350 degrees. This resembles the sort of beignets that you'd find at the supermarket. They're smaller and pale. And I let both of these cook for 20 minutes. Rotated them in the oven and then dried them out a little more. This was my favorite batch. I baked these at 375 degrees. And again, this is all with gas, not wood fire. So we have the 400, 375, 350, and then the regular conventional oven at 200 degrees on the furthest left. These were the clear winners in my opinion, so we're going to be working with these. Allow them to cool completely before you decorate with them. The last thing you want is for the cream to become a hot mess on the inside. For the cream, we are making an Oreo cream cheese sort of filling, so I'm removing the actual filling from the Oreo cookies and then breaking up just the cookies in a food processor or a grinder here in my case. I want it to be nice and fine, and then I can add it into my cream cheese mixture. So I'm adding heavy cream, mascarpone cheese, a little bit of sugar, and if you want, you could even add in some vanilla extract here. Beat that with a whisk attachment until it forms nice stiff peaks, usually about 2 to 3 minutes or so, and then once that's reached that stage, you can add in your dried cookie crumbs. I used 1 whole sleeve of Oreo cookies for this. Pop it into a piping bag fitted with a metal tip, something circular and definitely something strong because we're going to be poking them through the base. I've just used a chopstick here to create a hole big enough for my piping tip hole to fit through and then squeezing in that filling until I get that resistance. So I wanted to fill the inside as much as possible. One of them cracked open, so I was able to show you guys here what that looks like. But basically it fills up the entire cavity. Into some melted white chocolate, we are adding vegetable oil and gel food color. Give it a stir to combine, and then take each beignet, dip the top in, give it a good tap as if you were creating cake pops, and then allow that to dry completely. If you'd like to speed up the drying process, you can pop these into your fridge. Then melt down some dark chocolate into a piping bag and create a drizzle over the top of each of your beignet. This is an optional step, but I think it just really adds some dimension to the finished product. The chocolate that I've used here is compound chocolate by Nestle. That tends to be my go-to. Then onto a cake board or a plate, stick on your beignet. I did use melted chocolate, but I actually think buttercream works better for this. Once you have your base, start creating a second layer on top and challenge yourself. Get as tall with this tower as you can. I ended up being able to put in, I think, 3 layers or 4, maybe 4. And then if you have any buttercream, because I did switch to buttercream, that is visible on the outside, you can take a brush and brush it away. Then take some mini Oreos, apply them onto the beignet, into the spots where there's a bit of gap in between the beignets, and fit them in. I did the same thing with some Maltesers that I have been tossed in edible gold luster dust. And your beignet tower is complete. It was a lot of fun trying to figure out what temperature to use. I'm learning a lot along the way, not just with these, but with other desserts I've created like cookies and cakes. I'll be sharing those with you very soon as well. If you recreate these, I would love to see it. Hashtag Rosie's Dessert Spot so I can check them out. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and I'll leave a link to the Gozney Dome in the description box along with the recipe.